perfect, life-filled Spirit of God. Your divine spirit is in a journey of discovery. In the moment of incarnation, all the beliefs that are running are saying, I am this body, I am this limitation, I am these hands, these feet, this face. I am short, I am tall, I'm thin, I'm fat. I am in competition. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to get approval. I see through the eyes of limitation. I hear through the ears of good and bad and right and wrong. I have an age. I have a name. I have a complete identity that continues to be formed and added to. I see myself through the reflection of the outside world. I see others in struggle, suspicions, grievances. But all of this, through all of this outside identity, the inner spirit, the infinite spirit of love that is the truth of who you truly are, for most lays dormant, untapped, unconnected, unrecognized. Somewhere along the way, a spark of remembering occurs, and the spiritual journey begins in earnest. No longer willing to be satisfied with the outer shell of identity, and no longer willing to compromise on who you think you are, making concessions in any way, no longer willing to accept the rules of the world that have decided there is all limitation and there is a belief in scarcity that breeds competition. The spirit that is longing to be recognized is the infinite light and perfection of God. It waits patiently because it is guaranteed that everyone is going to remember and open to that divine spirit within. And eventually, no longer use the body for protection, defense of any kind, but that the body also will be surrendered to be used by God for comfort, for blessings, for truth. But the joy and peace and harmony that is the Spirit's truth will eventually be found, uncovered. When all the blocks and defense systems that have been made to defend in some way are let go, the Spirit rises and joins as the one Spirit with all Spirit. This is the journey of love. There is no loss in this journey, only the relinquishment of what never was, only the relinquishment of a false identity that was just made in agreement of separation. Does the journey of love need to be difficult? No, not at all. It is seen that way when there is resistance and fear that arises, when the doubts scream, I want it thus. But eventually every beloved will come back to complete remembering and rest in the light of love and express that love without reservation, without hesitation, without a separate mind that is qualifying. Love freely given, freely expressed. The freedom of love. In this moment, the willingness to surrender the senses, all that you have believed that you can see, all that you hear, even all that you use to smell and touch, all the speaking, all surrendered to be used only for love, to want to see nothing except the divine in all creation, to want to hear only the call for love, the truth of love. Surrendering the senses and allowing the Spirit of love to take the senses and transform its divine use, returning to love. And surrendering the use of the body so that it can be used to truly comfort, to bless, to express joy and harmony and peace, and to have surrendered all personal agendas of getting, winning, and even surviving, all given to love. In this moment, as you breathe deeply and fully, the willingness to surrender the nervous system that has been used almost exclusively to see everything as a challenge, now surrendered so that the nervous system can be completely healed, completely used by love itself. The willingness to surrender all the muscles and ligaments of the body, no longer being personally attached to the energy field of the body, but letting it be the energy field of God. Surrendering the mind into the hands of God. With a deep prayer that expresses the heart, take this mind and transform it into God's mind, keeping nothing personal, but wanting to think only thoughts of love itself. The easy transformation with willingness, with love, with light. In this moment, in this surrender, which is by choice, it is truly to open to the divine choice, to realize that in every moment there is a choice between love and fear. The everyday life is a choice, moment to moment, of choosing love or fear. And if love is chosen, the spirit of love expresses itself. If fear is chosen, you retreat into the fear of living, the fear of enemies, the fear of the unknown. But you have this choice, and this choice must be used in the moment to moment. What a great gift to have this choice, to realize that the choice between love and fear brings you to freedom, that you participate as you must in the healing back into the oneness of God. Making that choice moment to moment expresses yourself as, I know what I truly want. What I truly want is peace. What I truly want is freedom. What I truly want is joy, reality. I want to remember. I want to come home. And in this moment, the willingness to accept that the infinite, the eternal, is truly all that there is, and that you are returning to that awareness. Here in this moment, it is affirming and accepting that love is all that truly exists. Everything else is completely fabricated and has no purpose. In this moment of love, the affirming of the truth that the universe is all love. There's nothing else that exists. And the willingness to live to remember this love, this truth. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. Within this life force, we truly live and move and breathe. And within this life force, we're here to uncover the truth of patience, trust, gentleness, kindness, ease, and joy. All the secret thoughts, all of the lies that the ego has held, now forgiven and surrendered into the truth. The willingness to live with the life force of purity, clarity, love itself. This infinite circle of love will become familiar as you say yes to love and let love lead you. The world is upside down in its fear of love. Its fear of intimacy and its fear of oneness. But now is the time for love to shine, because you can make that choice. And everyone who has been called to the truth of love is making that choice. Sometimes forgetting, but finding the courage to come back and remember again and affirm love. In this moment, only love exists. And this sanctuary is filled with love because love is all that exists. If you are wrestling with thoughts that seem difficult, you can rest in the comfort that those thoughts are not reality, and they're being called to be surrendered and let go. Come home to love. Allow this prayer to hold your heart in complete awareness of this moment, focused on coming home, focused on intention. 1 minute to midnight, and the sky is turning black. 1 minute to midnight, and there's no turning back. I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home to stay. 1 minute to midnight, and my train is pulling in. 1 minute to midnight, when my new life will begin. Love calls me home, love calls me home, love calls me home for good. 1 minute to midnight, and the bells begin to chime. 1 minute to midnight, and they tell me that it's time to turn toward the light, turn toward the light, turn toward the light of my home. 1 minute to midnight, as I bandage up my heart. 1 minute to midnight as I let the healing start. I will receive, I will receive, I will receive my welcome home. Are you able to realize and recognize as you walk in your everyday life that you are on the road home? That each day has the opportunity to bring you closer and closer to the reality of your divine self. The gift of remembering, coming closer and closer as you choose love's calling. I am Mary of conception. I am seeking to open your heart, offering my love and guidance as your suffering world comes apart. Bring your pain like a flower to open. Bring your sorrow to place at my feet. Tears that are watering my garden in the river of Jordan will meet. Oh, my children, I seek your surrender. Both the path and the message are clear. My Saint John is walking beside you, holding your hand through this fear. Keep your strength as you seek to be humble. Let the power that guides you reveal all the blessings of my holy rapture, confirming you know what is real. The Divine Mother of Love is beside you at all times, there to guide you, there to open the door to your awareness that you have all the help that could be possibly needed always with you. Only if you will ask for the help, moment to moment, actually asking, show me, please, show me the truth, show me the way, I'm willing. And as you open your heart to be not only aware, but joyous in the reality that love is healing and unraveling all the misperceptions that you've held. Don't be afraid of the unraveling. Don't be afraid of letting go, because it's a necessary element of healing. I'm seeking to open your heart and offering love and guidance as your suffering world comes apart. The suffering world of separation has to come apart. It has to be unraveled, disintegrated, so that the truth can be recognized and free to express itself. As you surrender the beliefs that fear has reality, it's time to say, yes, I am willing for everything to unravel. And the willingness to accept all the blessings of the holy rapture of God, moment to moment. So in this moment, The divine light of God is wanting to declare, we have not come to take prisoners. We have not come to pull others into illusion, but to bring freedom. We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender ever more deeply to freedom and joy. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Leave it alone. Don't be tempted by the mundane of the world that calls to the familiar. But make the choice. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience that stand outside of our house and shout to our reason, please, please, come out and play. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. When you're in your belief of separation, you may not be aware of your divine courage, freedom, and light. That's a journey to finding that freedom and light and that courage. But it's there. It's there waiting to be accessed by choice. How do you access courage? You access courage every time you make a choice between running with the ego and affirming separation in some way, whether it's through words or thoughts or actions. There's a choice that is constantly being called for. The courage that when another beloved is upset about something, that instead of taking it personally, instead of making it personal and about you, that you hear the call for love and rest in that awareness and ask for the help to serve that beloved. It's a big leap of faith, but it brings freedom, and it strengthens the courage from within to continue to make those choices. And they must be made, because that is where you begin to meet your divine spirit. When you're no longer afraid of holding the peace and truth for everyone that you come in contact with. We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender ever more deeply to freedom and joy. Surrender is an unfamiliar in the world of the ego, because the entire ego has been built day by day in I know. I know what everything means. I know how I perceive it. I know what it's about. But yet the surrender to freedom and joy is actually embracing that we don't know. That we don't know how to live in freedom and joy because we haven't really met freedom and joy. In the awakening, that's when the freedom and joy really becomes obvious. What is this freedom and joy? It's the lack of fear. It's really simple. But the key of fear is that fear is so insidious that it touches everything within the ego identity. So it becomes a very vigilant relationship of the willingness to expose the fear for what it is and no longer be willing to be the slave of that fear. Where you listen to the fear and you follow its demands, there is no freedom. It's a slave relationship. It seems normal in the world to be the slave of fear and to listen to it, listen to its ramblings in the mind that convince constantly that fear is real and legitimate. And if you begin to doubt it, fear will just point to the past and say, yeah, you don't believe in fear? Let me take you into the past and show you again what you've always believed in. And yet, we have not come here to take prisoners. Now that's a strange concept, that you've come here to take prisoners. How is it possible that we could take prisoners? When you believe that fear is authentic, you take prisoners of others because you want them to be like you. You want to have connection. And many times the connection is through fear. It's through judgment. It's through assessments and opinions. There's nothing that the ego loves any more than to have someone take someone else prisoner, and in that relationship affirm opinions about the world and about pain and suffering as if it's real. Making notes or comparisons with each other of how painful each other's lives are. There's no healing there. There's no love there. To bring love is to bring peace and harmony. Every beloved is looking for a way to return home. And each beloved has the opportunity to be that servant of love that brings peace and harmony rather than fear to the relationship. We have not come into this exquisite place to hold ourselves hostage from love. Again, in the world of fear, that isn't even a thought. It's not even recognized as something that's being done until you actually stop and question, what am I believing in? What am I holding as real and true? And really wanting the healing. How is it that a beloved can hold a grievance? And everybody has held grievances. But when you hold a grievance, meaning that you know what someone else has done or what is wrong, when you hold a grievance, it covers the light of the world. You can't see with love if there are grievances that are being held. It's impossible, because that would be serving two masters at the same time, and the choice has to be made. Thank God the choice has to be made, because without the choice, you would have a one-sided life, the life of fear, the life of separation, the life of grievances. To choose to let go of a grievance opens the power within you, opens you to the power of love. And it doesn't matter how small the grievance is, because all grievances are taking you out of love, taking you away from truth. They have no reality to them. They have no purpose other than to affirm that you are separate and without, and that you have been unfairly treated in some way. It's tempting to join the club, and I do believe that there is a club, probably many clubs, the grievance club, the club that says, I have been unfairly treated and I'm sticking to my beliefs and I don't want to let them go. But if you believe that you've been unfairly treated, someone has to be to blame. Someone has to be the culprit. And in that, we are taking prisoners, because those beloveds become the prisoners of our intention and of our past. There's no healing there that's possible, and there's no love there that's possible. But it's tempting. It's tempting to see yourself as unfairly treated because you have so much agreement. The world is made of the agreements that everyone has been unfairly treated. And there's no lack of evidence if you want to find it. But we have not come here to take prisoners. Run from anything that does not strengthen your precious budding wings. That doesn't mean you run from anything that because you're afraid of it or because you hate it, but because you're willing to turn away from the untruth and open your heart to the truth of love. This is the way of the journey of remembering. Not taking prisoners. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience that stand outside of our house and shout to our reason, come and play. Come out and play. Come out and play says, let go of the false identity, the false world, and come and dance and sing with God. Come. And we have a duty to befriend the obedience. Now, obedience is something that in the world of life, every beloved is, for the most part, making a decision that they are not going to be obedient to anything except their own decisions. Don't tell me what to do. Obedience is to be rejected and resisted. So what is obedience? The obedience to truth, to love, is the gift where a new awareness opens up and you begin following and being in a teaching that teaches you a completely upside down way of love and harmony that you didn't know existed. And to put your life into the hands of those teachings, to put your heart into those teachings, is to open to obedience, because it isn't something that you know. Is it courage? Yes, it is courage. It takes courage to follow with obedience what you don't know, what you are accepting because you are longing to remember the truth of God, because you are longing to live in freedom and enjoy. And this is what the promise is. But you're following a promise. You're following sacred teachings that are unknown. What you know is pain and suffering of separation. And it seems easier almost to say, well, this is what I know, this is what I'm aware of, this is what I experience, so this is what I'm sticking with. And yet love keeps calling. And in the quiet meditative place in your own silent space, in that inner quiet silent space, you begin to listen to the teachings and the communication of love. And you start to doubt more and more the validity of your allegiance to the world, your allegiance to pain and suffering, and the rules of the world. The rules of the world have nothing to do with the laws of God. The laws of God are the laws of love, where you have done nothing, where nothing has changed you, where you are that divine spirit. And you don't have to apologize, where you don't have to make amends or atone for your past, but that you forgive your beliefs of the past and you come empty unto God. And yet there is resistance because it's unknown and because it's upside down. Everyone has been geared and designed by the ego to believe in right and wrong. So where do the rules go that have been made up in the world that are right and wrong and good and bad, more and less, but especially right and wrong? Right and wrong is used as a weapon to have the pretense of staying safe, of being in control, of being able to align with a concept that says, okay, I know what's good and I know what's bad. I know what's right, I know what's wrong. And I'm the decider. But if you take the laws of God, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's all love. In that, no one is an enemy. No one is wrong. And we don't have to be right. There's a beautiful teaching that everybody is aware of that says, I'd rather be happy than right. It's a simple teaching. I'd rather be happy than right. But the ego would rather be right. It's important in the ego structure to be right because it gives this false sense of safety and holding something that you think you know. But the beauty of letting that go, of really opening to rather being happy than right, to rather be at peace than right, is to begin to truly surrender the relationship to suffering. Because being right is separating. If you're right and someone else is wrong, you're not heart connected. You're not seeing them as the light of God, and that nothing can disturb the oneness. You're making a decision of separation. And what is being right for? It gives you a satisfaction of knowing something and protecting your rules that have been made up in the world. It touches everything. Let's say you make an appointment with somebody and you make an appointment for noon and they don't show up. Well, you can be righteously indignant about that, feel slighted, feel upset, disturbed, irritated. You're right. They didn't show up. And that has more heat around it than letting it go and being at peace. When you choose to be right, you can't be at peace because someone has to be wrong. And the purpose of being right is to bolster your defense system, to have as much protection as you possibly can. Because to not care about being right and to rather be at peace or happy is to open your heart and connect and not take any prisoners of right and wrong and good and bad. We've all experienced beloveds who will hold being right for a long, long time. There's no peace there. There's no joy. And what does it prove? What does being right prove? What does being wrong prove? Why would you want to hold on to it? When in the truth of oneness, there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. The duality of separation doesn't exist. So it's for really nothing. It does absolutely nothing. There is a realization that is really essential in healing, which is to realize that hell, the idea of turmoil, of hardship, of battle, of worry, of all the things that go on in the idea of hell, is all coming from the mind. And that you have the choice to no longer believe that hell exists, that hell is self-made by the mind. Heaven is here, waiting to be found in peace. But if you believe in hell, then your mind has to be actively believing that all the ideas of getting, winning, proving, making everything out of scarcity and trying to protect and defend, that's hell. It is a state of hell. When you condemn others, it's a state of hell. It's not putting them in hell, it's putting yourself in hell. If you hold being right, you have a piece of hell because it's painful and it has no purpose. It's not of love. And love is calling you to come home to peace. There's a state of being. The ego is sometimes referred to as the little me, the little I. So how does the little I, the little me live? That is not the truth of God. How does it live? It lives enhancing itself with external approval. It has to have external approval. That is the ego's domain, external approval. Also giving external approval, which can bolster the arrogance of the ego. But the external approval, the external possessions is all part of the little me, the world of the little me. It's all fear, because as soon as you're attached to external possessions and external identity and approval, you're in fear, because the approval can be taken away. Any whim of anyone can take away the approval, and so can you. You can approve of someone and say, I really like that person. I'm giving them my stamp of approval for their behavior, for how they act. And then the next time you see them, they're in a bad mood, and there goes your external approval, because they aren't behaving as they should for the stamp of approval. You're not seeing the truth of them. You're judging their external situation and how they behave. This is all the ego self expressing itself externally, because that's how it expresses. External possessions, wanting external possessions, coveting external possessions, needing external possessions other than just basics, engenders fear. Because once you are needing those external possessions, you're going to be afraid of losing them. You're going to be afraid that something is going to change and you won't have them. And you need them. If you're attracted to external possessions, you need those external possessions for the ego to have a sense of accomplishment, because its worth, the ego's worth, is based on the external. And it's going to display that this is part of your identity. And your external possessions are going to say you have a good identity or you have a poor identity, because you don't have enough external possessions, or they're not of the quality that they need to be. External is all the ego's domain. The external love is all part of that too. To express love externally by saying, I like the way your behaviors are. I think I love the way you behave. I love the way you bring life into this exterior place. But then when they don't, where did the love go? It's all on the external. And it has nothing to do with the truth of love. The true self, with a capital S, the divine self that God created, needs nothing from the external. That doesn't mean that there isn't a life, but it's not needed, it's not coveted, it's not held in fear that you won't have it. It's to realize that it is forever complete. You are forever complete as the divine self. You are safe, you are loved, and you are loving. That's it. You're safe, you're loved, and you're loving. Everything is complete. There's nothing missing. There's nothing to get on the outside. No approval needed. No opinions needed. Just loving, being loved, and completely safe. Because there is no fear of being hurt. There's no fear that the body that is housing your spirit, whether it functions perfectly or it doesn't, it's not who you are. You are the light of God, that spirit is completely intact and completely perfect. Nothing can harm you. No one can hurt your feelings. No one can diminish your beingness. And all belief in judgments just fall away. You don't have any need for judgments, and you don't notice any judgments because they don't mean anything. If someone says something about you, it means nothing. It's just a call for love. It's a call to the other that they are asking for love. And will you offer that love? That's all. It makes the journey so simple. Offer love. Every single time, take this risk. Someone's in a bad mood and they're grumpy. Do you react by pulling away? By being personally upset because they're grumpy? Or are you able to step past that personal old habit of being at the effect of, and actually opening your heart and offering love? Not trying to fix them, but offering love. Just holding the space for them as peaceful, beautiful, divine. The willingness to open your heart and share that love. That's when we don't take prisoners, when we offer love instead of believing that someone is doing something personally to us, at us. That's where the freedom is. The freedom to sing and dance with the light of God because you are and carry that light of God. We take no prisoners. We have not come here to take prisoners, whether it's with thoughts or actions or anything else. There's no enemy. There is only love to bring into every situation. Yes, there is temptation, and the temptation shows up in your everyday life that just says, okay, I'm not getting any credit for anything here. I need credit for my niceness. I need credit for my nice offerings. Why do you need credit? What is the credit for? It's about being recognized. You're already recognized. You're the light of God. God sees you in complete perfection. And all you have to do is turn into your heart and accept that you are the light of God. That is the credit. That is the recognition. There's nothing that actually occurs in recognition other than a temporary high and a belief that it's making up for some wrong in the past. But nothing is really needed. You have everything. You are everything. And it's coming into contact with that everything that is within you, and then offering that love. Because as you offer love and blessings and comfort, your awareness of love expands. It expands and grows within you. The more that you contract and are fearful, the more your heart shrinks up and you're not aware of your heart energy. That's the choice. And the guidance of love that is so available will lead you in that expansion. You're never alone. You have all the sacred teachings. You have all the guides that will lead the way if you will listen to them and open your heart and your mind to a new way, the way of love. We have not come to take prisoners. We've come to surrender all attachments that we built, all of the attachments to being right, all the grievances that have been held, and truly now it's time for forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. That you have done nothing except maybe be mistaken about what you thought you knew. But there is no punishment in God. There is no retaliation in God. And there is no judgment in God. All of that has been made up in the mind and has no truth. And that's where the resting occurs. Because if you're resting in God, you're not going to want to rest in God if you believe you're being judged or indicted for something. The beauty of resting in God, resting the mind, is the realization that there is no judgment, that there is no attack from God. The only attack is coming from the ego mind that believes in attack. God is asking you to stop taking prisoners in the belief of being right, being safe, defending in any way, and that there is nothing to get. You have everything, you are everything, and to open to that divine truth. The miracle of love is the transforming agent, and you are the one who offers miracles, or you offer fear. But you have the power to offer miracles of truth, of love, of light, that you hold each beloved as pure and innocent, nothing else. Do we know what anybody else's journey needs to look like? No, we don't. And it is not for anyone to judge what somebody else should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing in their everyday life. That is in the hands of God. We are just called to hold them as the light of God and hold peace and harmony and have no opinions about what anyone else is doing or not doing. That is our place of peace. That is the place of freedom. And that is how we don't take prisoners, by really seeing them all as the light of God. For we have come here not to confine our wondrous spirits. We are here to let our wondrous spirits come into awareness and manifestation. And you don't have to worry that it's difficult because it's in the hands of God. You're just saying, yes, show me the way. Unravel what I've made up and let me learn about the divine spirit that I am. I will take no prisoners. I will forget all things except the truth of God, gladly forgetting the past and forgetting the identity and remembering only the truth of God, moment to moment. All love, all truth, all light.